What up, everybody? We back and welcome back to a haunted pharaoh, where we go over spooky stories and spooky happenings happening all over the United States and probably the world. Me being a man from the South, Alabama to be exact, one of the most haunted states in the United States of America, I've seen my fair share of paranormal activities. Right? Some of them kind of scared me a little bit, and some of you just after you've been around it for some time, you kind of like, okay, whatever. But these stories in particular, what we're going over today is nursing home stories and morgue stories or mortuary stories. Um, I haven't spent too much time in the mortuary or morgue or in a nursing home, but we already know that morgues and mortuaries or people, they're getting ready for burial, and strange things happen in those areas, and nursing homes where elderly people are spending their last days. Either they're terminally ill, they have dementia, or it's just almost time for them to check out, and they don't have a family member to be there with them 24/7 to wait on them hand and foot. So, without further ado, let's get haunted.
Okay, got a cool, scary story for you. Check it out. So, it's like 2 a.m. on a med-surg floor. There's a couple of nurses sitting at the nurses station. One's just charting, and the other one is waiting for the doctor to come out of her new patient's room. She had a new patient, sweet little lady, came from the ER just a little while ago, and she's there for COPD. She's having a lot of trouble breathing, and the doctor's been in her room for a little while. He's doing his assessment, and he's already ordered labs. Labs already been in there drawing her blood, and everything's real messed up. Like her CO2 is like 55, so Ashley's just sitting there waiting for the doctor to come out and tell her what they're going to do. So eventually he does. He comes out of the room, comes straight to the nurse's station. He goes, okay, I just put orders in, but we're going to move her either ICU, step down, whatever's available, and we're going to put her on BiPAP. So it's like, Ashley's like, okay, no problem. We'll get her moved. And so the doctor starts to walk off, and then he kind of turns back around and he goes, oh yeah, she's got a family member in there, and ICU, they don't allow visitors after 9. So you guys got to tell them to go home. Then he walks off. So, Ashley and the other nurse, they just kind of, look at each other like, of course the doctor's not going to, tell the family to leave that up for the nurse, right? Anyway, so she does what she has to do in the computer and, calls and gives a report and everything. And then she heads down to the patient's room to tell her what's going on and that they're about to leave and that her family member has to go home. And when she walks in the room, the first thing she notices is there's nobody else there. So she kind of looks in the bathroom, like, is that somebody under that blanket? No. Patient's already like pretty much asleep. So she wakes her up and she's like, hey, we gotta move. And did you have a family member in here somewhere? And, the doctor said there was somebody in here. And she goes, oh yeah, my mom was here. She really wanted to take me home, but she said she couldn't do it tonight. So she left. She's like, oh, okay. And then she's like, Ashley's just kind of like thinking about what she just said and what she just heard. Like, when she's sitting at the nurse's station, she's looking straight down the hall at that room. She can see, like, if anybody had came out of that door, she would have seen it. Especially since this patient is 89 years old. Her mom would have been 110. They would have seen a 110-year-old lady take 20 minutes to walk down that hall, and get on the elevator. But nobody left that room. And so she's thinking, wait, is this lady confused? And then she's like, no, but the doctor saw the family member in there. He's the one that said to go tell him to go home. So now she's just going to go ahead and finish her job and take this sweet little old lady down to the ICU or up to the ICU, whatever it is. And so she's doing that, and she's kind of chit-chatting with her and everything. And she kind of mentioned something about, her mom. And the lady said, yeah, my mom said that she will be back tomorrow to take me home. And Ashley just kind of goes, oh, okay. So she made sure to tell the nurse that she was giving the patient to be aware that, her mom was coming back tomorrow to get her, to be prepared.
Now I'm going to tell you straight up, I've heard stories like this before where I've had family members that were in their last days, and they've seen a beloved family member in the room with them talking. Now we, as you know, saying as family members, didn't see that person there, but for that doctor to see this woman's mom. Now, mind you, like he said, the woman is 89 years old, so her mom's got to be in her hundreds. That's scary for other people to see it. But we're gonna get into this next one. I think this one here is a little bit scarier. This one's kind of, you know, kind of on the sweet side, but this one here is a little bit more spookier. So, without further ado, let's get haunted.
Let me tell you about this haunted hospital I worked at, where I had to push this body down to the morgue, and these spirits was jumping all on top of the body bag and pushing the body cart all up and down the hallway. So this is my first hospital job. I'm super new. I had never done anything in a hospital before. I was only doing like nursing homes and home health care, right? So I turn around and I'm training with this woman. You can tell she hated her life. She being rude. She didn't want to train me. She had me doing everything by myself, even though she was supposed to be training me. And so then, unfortunately, this patient passes away. And she tells me, like, you know, you got to toe tag them. You got to do X, Y, and Z. So she's telling me what to do, but she's like not really wanting to help me. She'll just keep leaving out the room. So I'm doing everything by myself. And I finally toe tag her, and it's time for us to like go ahead and put her in the bag. So she comes in, she helps me put her in the bag, and then she looked at me and she's like, you got to take her down to the morgue by yourself. I said, aren't you supposed to come with me? Like, I don't even know where the morgue is. She was like, no, I had to do it myself the first time. Okay. So I went ahead and I was like, cool, I'll just go by myself then. So fast forward, I pulled the body onto the elevator, and I'm already freaked out. I'm in the elevator with a dead body, and the first thing that's on my mind is, what if this elevator stops and I get trapped in this elevator with a dead body? Anyway, so fast forward, I'm in the basement and I'm pretty much waiting for security. She told me that security was going to meet me there. Now, mind you, I don't know where I'm going. So I'm going up and down the hall, pushing this body up and down the hall, trying to find this morgue. And so it's a fairly large hospital, right? And when you don't know where you're going, you be confused. So I finally like saw this area, and I'm just like, okay, that looked like it would be something like a morgue. I don't know. So I walked up to the door, and in small printing, it said morgue, right? So I'm like, okay, this is it. I pushed the body up against the wall. And when I pushed the body up against the wall, I'm just standing there. I'm waiting for security. I hear the elevator ding, and I heard the doors open, and I was like, okay, finally, they're here. Nobody got off the elevator. So then I heard walking from the opposite direction, and I was like, oh, okay. So I'm just waiting. Nobody ever comes. I'm down there waiting, like I had pushed the body up against the wall and everything, waiting for about 15-20 minutes. So finally I was like, okay, let me call up there. So I called the unit, and when I called the unit, the girl who's training me answered the phone, and she's just like, oh, sometimes it just takes them a while. It's okay, you can go ahead and just wait there. And so I'm just like, okay. So then I wait down there longer, and the longer I wait, I just feel anxious. And I'm like, I do not like being down here. Like, I'm literally in the basement. It feels like by myself. I don't see any other workers. This shit is weird. So I hear talking, and I'm like, okay, let me walk to where they are, like whoever was talking, so I can tell them, like, hey, do you mind getting security for me so they can hurry up and get down here? Because I don't want to leave the body, right? So I get to that area where I heard the talking, and there's nobody there. So immediately I know what that is. And I immediately don't want to be down there. I already didn't want to come. So I get annoyed because I've been waiting for a long time now. And so finally, I'm like, I'm just going on a search spree to try to find somebody myself. So I finally like walk down this other hallway. And as I'm walking down the other hallway, I hear commotion coming from where I left the body. And so I turned around. I'm like, maybe the security people came from the opposite direction. Maybe that's them. So when I go back around a corner, I noticed that from afar, I can see there's something on the floor. And as I'm walking closer, I can see that it's the belongings bag that belongs to the deceased. I had it on top of the body bag. And so I'm like, okay, it could have just fallen. I don't know. And so as I'm getting closer, I see that there's somebody behind the cart, like holding onto the handles behind the cart. And I was like, you know, getting scared. So finally, I was just like, okay. So as I get closer, the person that was squatting behind the cart stood up. And it's a spirit pushing the body cart towards me. And then it's a couple more spirits sitting on top of the body bag. Y'all, I never ran to an elevator so fast. I ran to the elevator. And I called the unit again, and I told the girl, I said, hey, I'm gonna need you to come down to the thing with me. The security didn't even show. She said, just come on back up here. So I went back upstairs, and when I got back up there, she had an attitude. We called security again. Security gets down there, but this time they tell me that I had the body pushed all the way over by janitorial. Y'all know I did not. No, I did not. I did not have that body pushed down there by janitorial. So security's like, yeah, I just don't send no more new people down here if they just gonna be leaving bodies just anywhere. Anybody could walk down here. Well, maybe y'all should have been where y'all said y'all was gonna be.
First of all, count me out. No. The moment. Now look, I think her work partner set up for failure because she knew what was going down there, right? But for her to see somebody stand up from behind the cart or the gurney or whatever she was pushing that body on, no, she was right. She was right to hightail it out of there. Me, like I said, I've had my fair share, but once things start moving on their own, and I see things start happening and things start disappearing, bruh, I'm out. I'm done. I'm gonna tag her in these videos so y'all can go, look at her other stuff, because she's got other scary stories and all that stuff. So let's roll on to the next one, baby.
Disclaimer, I don't suggest that you watch this video at night by yourself or while you're working night shift. In an ICU in Kentucky, there was this patient that was experiencing all sorts of hallucinations. They have a video camera in the ICU, which is pretty common now, and they captured this on camera. Does that not look like some sort of demon on top of the patient? The patient died just 3 hours after the nurse took this picture. What is that?
So this is an incredible photo. We got two things happening. One, glitch in the camera, something weird with the lighting. Definitely a man-made experience influencing it, but that is happening because a spirit did enter the room. Two things can be true. What I'm feeling is the bottom part of that is the being. The top half is something else. It's some sort of glitchy thing. And it's trying to take advantage of those that are in somewhat of a weakened space as they pass over. This patient was fine, moved to the light, never bothered by it. But these dark beings tend to do that because they are frustrated, angry, not sure why they're there. A lot of times very scared to move to the other side because they know they weren't that great in this life. Definitely made its way into this room, causing the glitch.
Now, the moment I saw that, I don't think I can work in a hospital or mortuary or morgue. I can't do it. I mean, yeah, like I said earlier in the video, I've had my experiences that have been unbothered, but at the same time, I couldn't do it. I've heard too many stories of people passing away in hospitals and they're saying, don't let them take me. Or just seeing stuff sitting off in the corner, somebody talking to them while they're, and saying like the nurses and the doctors and everybody else saying they're hallucinating, but they're really seeing this stuff. Now, people say that hospitals, morgues, mortuaries, funeral homes, they're all portals because that's where life, that's where the life ends for someone, or that's where the energy is dissipated, and the energy that person left behind won't leave. So a lot of these places, like you want to call them portals, a lot of them are hospitals, morgues, mortuaries, and funeral homes. It's just the way it is, and some of them are graveyards. And I live out here in Savannah. Them graveyards is haunted. I don't care what nobody say. I live in Savannah, the most haunted city. I'm gonna say the most haunted city in Georgia. Other people say otherwise, but yeah, it's crazy down here. Let's get to the next one.
When I worked in the nursing home, I always used to ask the hospice nurses, what's the creepiest thing or way that you've seen somebody die? Or what was like the creepiest last words? And I will never forget one nurse who told me she had this patient who was on hospice but didn't have any family to come visit him, and they would call the family and they'd be like, I'm not interested. Apparently this was not a loved man, maybe self-inflicted, who knows. But she said that right before he died, she saw black hands reach over the back of the headboard of the bed he was in. He was at home. And then the guy sat up, let out a blood-curdling scream, laid back down, and died. The stories that hospice nurses have, oh my God.
Now, I think this dude was a very bad person while he was on this plane of existence. I think he was a very bad person, and for you to see physical, pitch black hands reach over the headboard of the bed. Look, Usain Bolt wouldn't be able to catch me coming up out of there. Look, I'd had my share of experiences, but I've never seen anything that's been demonic in nature. That was demonic. And for him to wake up with a blood curdling scream and die right there, he must have been a very evil person, and that spirit was waiting on him to drag him to wherever he needed to go. We got one last story, and that's going to be it for today. So let's get it.
So a few years ago, I worked in this nursing home. I worked on a dementia floor, so things were pretty chaotic to begin with. If you've ever worked with dementia patients, you know what I'm talking about. This one particular day, I was working overnight, and when I arrived, I was going to each of my patients' rooms to read their report from the day. This one patient I had, she was completely bedridden. You had to lift her. She's pretty small though, so I could always do it myself. So when I got to her room, she's laying on the floor beside her bed. And my first thought is like, oh my God, she fell out of bed. So I went over to her and I was like, Miss Blank, like, are you okay? Like, what happened? Did you fall? And she said, oh no, honey, the man put me here. So I thought that she meant the male nurse that was there that day. So I went out to the nurse's station and I was like, why did you put her on the floor? Kind of weird. It's a little strange. And he was like, what are you talking about? And I told him, I was like, she said that a man put her on the floor. You are the only man here. And he's like, I did not put anybody on the floor. So I went back into her room, and again, she was a very tiny lady. I was able to get her up and into her bed by myself, and I finished doing what I needed to do and left the room. A few hours went by, like around midnight, I was doing my rounds again just to check on everybody, and I heard her talking in her room. It's not like uncommon for dementia patients to be like talking to themselves, you know, but I stopped by her door to listen to what she was saying, and I heard her say, no, I can't get out of bed again, they'll get mad. Immediately, just chills everywhere. So then I went around the corner to look into her room, and she is like hovering above her bed, like this much. And as soon as it's only for like 2 seconds, and as soon as I look at her, she drops down to the bed. And needless to say, that was my last shift at that nursing home. I literally never returned. And I have a lot more stories about that nursing home. That was just like the last straw. What made me quit. But if you want to hear more about what happened there, let me know.
Just like she said, I don't know. I don't think that would have been my last day working there. Just as long as that spirit didn't bother me. But when you have patients who are leaving this plane of existence, when they're leaving Earth, in nursing homes, they see things and people don't take them seriously. They just think, okay, she's delusional, she has dementia, everything is running together, and like the old memories start flashing together, things start happening, got it. But for you to walk into that room and see her hovering over her bed after she said a man put her on the floor, I don't blame her for not going back over there. I don't blame her. But I think that no matter what funeral home you go to, no matter what mortuary, no matter what morgue, no matter what nursing home you go to, if there is a body passing through there and that person has passed away, that energy is still there. And depending on whether that person was good or whether that person was bad, shows what kind of energy is going to be there. And usually 9 times out of 10, if that energy was bad, that energy is stuck there because that energy is going to mess with anybody who's there. Whether you're a worker or whether you're a patient, you're gonna be stuck there with that energy being there. But hey, look, that's it for today's episode. Check back for more because I'm going to be uploading more. I uploaded the first one a couple weeks ago and got crazy stupid busy and never got time to sit down and actually put together the videos the way I want to. But if you made it to the end of the video, put down in the comments, I seen it myself. Hit the like and subscribe button. Very small channel. Stay haunted, baby. No, don't stay haunted. Be on the lookout. Peace.